Okay, so at this point I have a blank HTML file open and I've got it called index.html. And so from here, it's time to start laying down the base work for our HTML document. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to declare a doc type, HTML. And now it's time for me to, oops, forgot that includes that there. Okay, so everything for an HTML document is contained within HTML tags. Let's see if maybe I can, no, not really. Okay. So you have your opening HTML tag and you have your closing. The closing tags for HTML are always going to have this little forward slant or forward slash. So within that HTML tag, you have the two head tags, and in the head tag is where you'd put things like your title, your meta tags. If you're linking into any kind of CSS, you would put that in there. You can also put scripts, but I'll show you in a second where you can put scripts down below. And there are some reasons that I'll cover in another video of why you wouldn't put scripts necessarily in the head tag all the time. Sometimes you actually want to contain those at the bottom of the body tag. So for our title, we can just say sample modern web. Oops, I need to learn how to spell. Modern web tutorials homepage. This is a very long title, probably a bit too long, but since I'm not worried about SEO or any of that other stuff, this is just fine. Okay, so we can also link to our CSS. Alright, and in my Sublime text editor, if you type in most of the HTML tag, it should autocomplete. But anyway, so we do link, and then we declare this. This is basically we're linking to a style sheet. The type is going to be text /CSS, and then our href. So if this were in a folder, we would probably do something like style.css if this was in the base folder, and just so you can kind of get an idea of what that may look like. So within here, if I had a document called styles.css or style.css, that would be the route, or this would be the area in which that is looking for the document. So there's that. And if we were to, let's see, we could even put up in this particular area here, we can do something like style, which this is more what they would call like inline CSS. So in this case, I can do something like body, actually we could do background. Let's do something really dumb. Background color is red. Or you could even do, instead of declaring the number or the color explicitly, you can do a hexadecimal number, so EF. So that's 6. Right? So that's another way to declare a color. And there's also RGBA, but I'll show you that in a CSS styled or based tutorial. So there's the link way, this is when you call external style sheets, and then you can do internal, or what they call, I don't know if you want to call it inline or not, but basically there's two different ways. I think if you're just starting out and you're not really good with like relative paths and all this stuff, if you just want to sort of explore the HTML and learn it, then you can probably get away with doing some of this in-document CSS styling. However, if you're trying to do something on a much larger scale, it's just better to link it on in. You could also do, let's see, up here, src, and then app.js. And this is a way to bring in your JavaScript from another, like I showed you with the CSS. This would bring in your JavaScript from that containing folder. Alright, so within the body is where you're actually going to put the stuff that shows on your web page, on your home page, or whatever it is that you're building. So let's just do some basics first. So there's h1 tags, h2, h3, h4, h5. So this one is going to be the biggest. Slightly smaller than the biggest. Another heading. And another heading. And finally, the last heading. Okay. Now, in terms of document flow, I'm going to cover this in another video, but it's important to understand that these h1 tags, they shouldn't necessarily be used for the styling of your document. So if you want letters to be big, and that's the only reason why you they don't have any sort of importance at all, but you're just trying to make them bigger or bolder, you need to stay away from using h1 tags or header tags, for that matter, to style your document. That's not what these are for. These are for something that's called a document flow. So if you're writing a paper, or if you're writing an essay, obviously you would break up all of your document in headings. So if you just have an arbitrary number of h1s all over your page, that's really it's going to mess up your document flow quite a bit, and it also has an effect on SEO, which that's something that I can cover at a much later date. But it's just important to realize that using header 1 tags to style your document is not a good idea. If you want something to be bigger, say for example I have this paragraph, and let me see. I'm a really cool paragraph. I think I should be bigger. Alright, so if you wanted to make this bigger or bolder, there's a couple ways that you should go about this. You could either do inline styling, so you can do style as an attribute, and you can say font 24 pixels. Oops. Then you can do font weight. I just messed that up. Come on, dude. $700. That's one way you can do it. Inline styling. And this won't affect your document flow. It'll still show up like a regular paragraph in document flow. It'll still be treated as a paragraph. However, you'll be able to get what you're looking for. And if you were up here, if you had a CSS document that you created a class or an ID, which I'll show you in a CSS tutorial. Let's say we had a class in our style.css that was like really big PG. That would also do whatever rules it is, that you're trying to make this bigger, or maybe it's red and bold or something like that. All that is contained within your style.css. And we also have items that are of good note. So you have unordered lists. So in here you would say list item. And I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this a couple times. Okay. You have an ordered list. Two, oops, three, four. Okay. You have the ability to link to other pages on your web page, or maybe you have like a downloadable PDF or something like that, or maybe you want to link to your friend's web page. You would use this, what's called an anchor tag. Okay, so here you would say, let's say this links to like an about page, so you would do about me or about us. And since it's contained within your same folder in this case, it would be about.html. And there's some other attributes that I can discuss on another video. Alright, and earlier I showed you, or I talked about doing the scripts down below. Again, you can do the same thing here where you're calling in the actual source, or you could even put right in here your let's say foo, and then so there's your function. And in order to get that function to run, you would obviously need to do something like that. Otherwise your function will never run. Let's see here. What else? Yeah, so I'll go ahead and just leave it right here for now. But basically, that is your basic HTML document. I'm going to go ahead and cover this one more time, but I'm going to sort of put it in HTML5 mode, if you will, on my next video. I only did this because I wanted you to see sort of how that works. So I've got it saved, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and open it up so you can see what it looks like on an actual internet browser. So you can see the header tags start big, and their padding and stuff gets relatively smaller and smaller as it moves on. Here's a paragraph, your list item. These are your ordered lists, and there's our link that we made just a minute ago. And if I inspect this, there's going to be a couple errors. Actually, there should be one error. The first error should be that it doesn't know about any document called style.css because I haven't created one. And we should also see a console log that says, hey, I'm Baz. So, inspect this. Yep, actually there it is. Style. So we couldn't find style.css and we couldn't find app.js. And here's our console log and that function that I made at the bottom of the document. So there it is. This is a very basic. This is not meant for people that are out there that already work with frameworks and stuff like that. This tutorial was more designed to get someone who has never touched HTML to sort of get an idea of what it looks like and to get comfortable with it. I'm going to be covering some more stuff in depth on my next HTML series video, so stay tuned, like, and subscribe. Thank you.